They
Sure.
really had to figure out how to survive, how to feed these children. They didn't have the luxury of asking the question, what's important to me? Do I have the time to think outside of the box? They didn't have the luxury of thinking about their emotions, their feelings, how I feel about always working and not spending time with my family. They didn't have that. But what it provided was a look for us to say, oh, is there more? They set us up to now be in the position to ask the questions, to start rethinking what it means to live life beyond just surviving. And that does come with asking the question of what's important to you? Welcome to another episode of Soul Shift Sessions Podcast, aka Soul Shift Shenanigans. Okay, where we have,
I love it. I love it. It's literally
you
what this
know,
morning was like before we got on. That you were correct.
it it really is. But typically, we have deep transformative conversations to help you transform your mind, to transform your life. I'm your favorite freedom and financial wellness coach, Coach Sapphire Starr. And of course, I have with me my favorite sidekick, favorite co host.
Coach Kyle McCloud.
And we're here with you with another conversation. Now, before we get into our deep dive into our conversation, I want to remind you guys to make sure that you are following us. Make sure you are subscribed to our newsletter at www.soulshift.sessions.com. You're following us on Instagram at Soul Shift Sessions. If you would like to be a guest and join us on the podcast for the conversation, you can go to www.soulshiftsessions.com and fill out the form to be a guest. We would love to have you. Remember, sharing is caring. So if you know someone who needs a soul shift, make sure you share our podcast with them. Coach Kyle, today we are talking about from surviving to soul living. What does thriving look like for you?
Ooh. All right. So thriving for me means like I am not living my day to day in this mode where I am stressed, where I am feeling a ton of anxiety, and the weight of the world is on my shoulders. That's what I guess thriving doesn't look like. So, to answer your question, what does it look like? For me, it's being in my zone, um, enjoying life to its fullest, and being in the moment, right? Really enjoying from moment to moment. Because I find that, at least for myself, the years go by faster when I'm not present to the moment. Like
Mm,
1 minute it's January, and then all of a sudden it's August. And was I present from January to August? And so I don't think it involves not having challenges, but I think the outlook that I have with the challenges that I'm facing can determine whether or not I'm surviving or if I'm thriving.
mm. I
And
love that.
and just as there are times where we get in the zone and then like we're doing all the things, we're meditating, we're exercising, we're getting the quiet time, and how sometimes those things fall away and you don't realize they fall away. And next thing you know, you are kind of like in the thick of things and you're like, I know better than to be like this. I know better. But yet we fall back into those things. That's what B. Will Raw was talking about back when she was here. And I think that surviving and thriving also fall into that same category or same conversation, which is there are times where I'm thriving and before I know it, I'm surviving and didn't realize it. Like it crept up on me. And now I have to realize what has gotten me here. Like, well, how did I go from thriving back to surviving? And if I can identify those things, I can kind of put myself back on track.
I love that. I love that. When I think about surviving and thriving, the first thing I think about is a mindset, a shift in our mindset. For me as a author, speaker, financial wellness coach, I'm always empowering people and entrepreneurs, especially women, to go from surviving to thriving by organizing their finances to live their best life. And I start with my clients with mindset because that is where the challenge typically lies. And for when I talk about it, it's always this thought process of, well, what is thriving? And when I think about thriving in the realm of my financial coaching business, it's living is a priority and working is optional, a work optional life. But we have to define what that means for us by first identifying where we are. Because most of us are in this survival mode of hustle, 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 work, 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 pay bills, repeat. Then it leads to burnout. Then it leads to stress. It leads to health problems. It leads to all these things. And I feel and I find, especially from my experience, it took a major life event for me to realize that, wait a minute, this isn't normal because it starts to feel normal. The chaos of life, the vicissitudes of life starts to feel normal. And unless you're like shocked out of that or something happens, you really don't even realize that, wait a minute, I should not be living my life this way. And so it then becomes that, like you talked about, that, okay, well, you said you wake up like, wait a minute, how did I get back here? But it's this conscious decision first to decide that I don't want to live like this anymore. And then going on this journey of, well, how do I make that shift from surviving to now thriving?
It's critically important for you to identify what thriving even looks like because it looks different for everybody. I'm gonna tell you right now, thriving for someone who's money motivated is gonna look very different for someone who is not money motivated. You know, someone who is single with no kids, thriving is gonna look different to that person than the person who's married with children. It's
Yeah,
all going to look different from person to person. And without identifying what thriving looks like, without identifying what success looks like for you, it's you're just taking shots in the dark.
I agree. I agree. It's definitely important. And I believe that's anything we do in life to be very clear about what we want, what we desire, what makes us tick. How do we feel? What's the, like we're we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And that little dash between the time you're born to the time you die is very short, blink of an eye. In 100 years, people probably don't even remember who you are. So the thing is, how are we taking advantage of the present? I always say the present, like the play on words. How are we taking advantage of the now? How are we taking advantage of this experience that we have called life? And are we living life to the fullest? Or are we just, I say sometimes when I see people, they're alive, I was like, oh, they look like the Walking Dead. They're alive walking on earth, but it doesn't feel like they have life. And so how do we navigate that? How do we get out of that and really fully embody a bold, thriving, a bold life, you know?
I think it starts with identifying, well, you already said it, it's the mindset, but I would take it just a step further and go with what has made up the mindset that you currently have. For
Mhm.
example, if you saw your mother hustling 2 jobs. My mother she was a school nurse by day, an ER nurse by night. My dad did very, very little to support financially, so she carried the brunt of all of that. And I remember, her waking up early in the morning and taking my brother and sister to Newark because that's where their schools were. And I lived in Plainfield, so I just had to walk to school and back. But there were plenty of times where it's dark out before she comes back home. And not just because it's daylight savings time. There were times where she had to work till midnight and then go pick up my brother and sister and then bring everybody home only to repeat that process all over again. And it's very easy to think that if you want to I don't wanna say the finer things in life, I'm gonna say if you wanna have just the things that kinda make you comfortable in life, I feel like we're conditioned to hustle like that if you want to experience that. But the thing is, what are you sacrificing? What are you giving up? If you're giving all of your time to the thing that generates income, in this case, 2 jobs, if you're giving all of your time for that, then where is the time to enjoy your family, the time to enjoy vacation? Like where do you get that time? And then just watching your family grow, so I think that mindset has to be, you have to figure out like what are the things that kind of caught that bring that up. So earlier episodes, we've talked about uh, um, a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. Well, then, if that's the case, then what is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is a thought that you keep thinking that limits you in some kind of way. And I feel like that hustle and bustle that we grew up with, no, and keep in mind, our parents come from a different generation. They came with a different set of problems. They had to deal with
Challenges, yeah.
segregation. They had to deal with dogs and fire department and
Discrimination,
segregation and
yeah.
all of those things. And we don't have to deal with the same challenges that they had to deal with. We have our own. Um, but they did what they had to do to get us to this point. One could argue that from my mom doing what she did, that gives me the ability to even question what I'm doing in regards to surviving versus thriving. Like I get to evaluate that and make decisions on that. Cause I'm pretty sure that if I grew up in the 50s and 60s, I probably wouldn't have the same choices or be allowed to ask these types of questions because it really was about survival.
Absolutely. I always say when I do my talks, when I'm speaking to at universities or at corporate events, workshops, seminars, I always say like the generation before us, like I said, people that were living in the 50s and 60s, especially black and brown people, they didn't have the luxury of thriving. They
Sure.
really had to figure out how to survive, how to feed these children. They didn't have the luxury of asking the question, "What's important to me? Do I have the time to think outside of the box?" They didn't have the luxury of thinking about their emotions, their feelings, how I feel about always working and not spending time with my family. They didn't have that. But what it provided was a look for us to say, "Oh, is there more?" They set us up to now be in the position to ask the questions, to start rethinking what it means to live life beyond just surviving. And that does come with asking the question of what's important to you? I think that's the main thing. What is important to you? That starts the conversation at least.
It starts it because if you don't know what's important to you, how are you going to even sift through all the quote unquote data that's out there in regards to like what works and what doesn't for your life? Like how much, like what's important is the North Star, if you will.
Yeah,
The
the
guidance.
guiding light. Absolutely, absolutely. I always tell my coaching clients when it comes to financial freedom, I challenge them to look beyond them becoming financially free. What I ask them is, what does your life look like once you are financially free? What does a life look like when you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck? You don't have to worry about money. Because to me, that is the most important thing. That is the driving force. That is the guiding light. Because once you become financially free, now what?
And to your point, there are certain things that are important that they can be doing right now that don't
Absolutely.
cost money, but they're making up
Absolutely.
this they have this belief called, well, I can't do that until I whatever
Mhm.
that thing is. You know, that's an excellent point because there's just so many things that we could do right now. You know, even from a fitness standpoint, there are people that want to achieve X before they do something else because they feel like they're not physically fit enough. And this is like, start.
You have
If
to
all you
start.
can do is one pull up, then baby, do your one pull up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it paints that picture. It's like, well, how do I eat an elephant? Because once you've imagined the impossible for yourself, once you decide and dare to dream big, the question then, let's reverse engineer that. How do I begin the journey of getting there? How do I eat the elephant? One bite at a time, one step at a time, one paycheck at a time. But we have to start. If we don't finish, you're going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So, and that's where the mindset comes into place, because once you can visualize it, once you can see the possibilities, your actions are now going, your beliefs are now going to regulate your actions. Your actions are now going to get you the results that you desire, that further those little small steps, those little small wins are going to start feeding into that belief and be like, oh, and you're going to keep trucking along like a train. And you're going to get there one step, one school at a time. And before you know it, you'll be like, oh, I'm
The ch-
living the life that I imagined.
right. But the challenge with that is not being able to see the forest through the trees. Like when you're taking those small steps, you're just in it, and you're
Mhm,
not really seeing everything else that's happening around. So for from your perspective, how does
mhm.
one not get lost in that?
What you measure, you manage. And what I mean by that is having a plan, having a plan and having a strategy, i.e., what are your goals? And creating those, people always talk about the short term, the long, the midterm, long term goals. That's important because that is going to allow you to see what's in front of you and in the power of that. So you're not focused so much as like, well, I can't see through the forest, but I can see what's in front of me because I set a goal to say, you know what, I'm going to work out 2 times a week. I wrote that down. I have accountability. That's a goal. And I actually did it. Oh, okay. I can see that immediate gratification. I can see that win. And then I celebrate that. I continue with that goal setting because one day you're going to look up, and that's the power of setting. Jim Rohn said it best. He was like, when you set a goal, it's not about what you achieve or what you get down the line, down the road. It's who you're becoming as a result of setting those goals. So it's not just the destination that is the win, that is the, oh my God, I've arrived. It's the small wins along the way that you are accomplishing that is also the developing. The joy is in the journey, like you always say. That is powerful too. When you're in the valley, when you're in the trenches, and you're able to like take a little small step, like that is powerful. Just as powerful as once you reach the destination.
And then also knowing that once you reach that destination, this is not the end
Absolutely,
because there
absolutely.
is another valley.
You gotta go
Let's
down.
be honest. I don't want to go in the valley. I don't want to go down there. But that's life, right? We all have to go
Yeah.
down because once you get down there, there's a whole nother hill, mountain, or elevation to climb, and
Yeah.
that one may be higher than the where you just came from. So,
But the beautiful thing about that is you have the momentum. When you're going down from the mountaintop, you got that momentum now that you didn't have before when you started from the bottom and you went up. That was hard. That was like, oof. But now you made it to the mountaintop. Now you got that momentum. Now
yeah,
you got those wins. Now you have that vision. Now you have that imagination. Now you're like, oh, I did this. Like I have the belief that when I go down this valley, I want to make it on the other side. And I feel much more empowered, more emboldened to go down there because fun fact, I thrive in chaos. That's just we talking about thriving. Listen, I be like, bring it on. Like
I do not know
I'm working in the valley. I'm just saying.
anyone who is comfortable in the valley as you though. Like I just don't.
Because I done been through so much in life. I done been through hell and back. I done been
Yeah,
through the fire.
yeah,
Like, I know what it feels like to be in a very dark place. I know what it feels like to want to take your life. I know what it feels like to experience loss, right? So if I can come through that, like going through the fire, coming out as gold, there's really nothing. There's nothing that can stop me from being who God created me to be, not just for myself, but also my motivation is my daughter, my granddaughter, living a legacy. So understanding what's important to you, but also having your why, where you don't feel like you don't even have the energy to go through what you need to go through. Well, who are you doing it for? Maybe that'll get you through to the other side too.
oh, I wholeheartedly agree. And there is the who you're doing it for, but there's also this aspect of what is it that you're doing for yourself? And what I mean by that is oftentimes we will do so much for others and not even know what we want for ourselves. And I think that's just as important to define as from a why perspective. Because, you're with you 24 hours a day.
A lot, a lot.
It's a week. You are with you. What do you have to do to yourself? Like, what kind words do you need to speak to yourself? I love the fact that you have a me time Friday, where, I mean, like, if anybody manages to get on your calendar on a Friday,
They're
oh,
special.
you are,
They're special.
don't F it up. Yes, you can go from special to not special. For real,
Non-existent. Non-existent.
you.
Like I never knew you. Like I never knew you because that is a non-negotiable. Like I'm so Gucci with me. I love me so much. I'm not gonna let nobody treat me any different than I treat myself. Why would I do that? Like why? Why would
And
I
if you
why would I
violate a
do that?
Friday, you think
I'm
like
sorry for that man. Like
Saturday
Kiki,
through Thursday. This
you got it. You got it.
one.
Like Kiki Palmer say, I'm sorry for that man. I don't know that man. I don't know that man. I'm sorry for that man.
I feel like recently you've given me a story of someone messing up a Friday, and that person is
Nice knowing you until it wasn't. But that's how we have to stand 10 toes down on business when it comes to who you are, because you're setting the tone. You're setting the pace on how you're teaching people how to treat you based on how you treat yourself. And if you treat yourself like crap, guess what? You're going to allow other people to treat you like crap
and
because that's how you treat yourself.
that is a very good point because I've noticed that they are like when I say they, I'm talking about my crew, my kids. They're watching even when I don't realize they're watching. And um like, they have seen me stand on my beliefs when it comes to the relationships. Like, if you go nuclear and I have 0 reason for you to go nuclear on, they've seen me cut those relationships off and be totally fine with it. And I don't think I was raised that way. I
Yeah.
believe that I was raised that, especially because a lot of times this happens in family. It's like you're raised like this is your family, so you got to just deal with it no matter what. And I'm like, you know what? You hit that
Just
nuclear button.
because
Yeah,
I love this quote. It says, just because we blood don't mean we're related.
don't mean we're related. And I like the aspect of being able to choose who's your family now, because I do
Yeah.
have people that are in my life that are, I mean, you are family to me, and you have shown up that way too. Like you've shown up in moments where I was super down and just needed someone on the other end. I didn't even need conversation. It's just like I needed someone on the other end. You've been there for that, right? You've been there for all the shenanigans. You were there when I make questionable decisions.
And I be rooting for the foolishness. Like, why not?
I'm
Why
very
not?
clear. I'm very clear that if we went to high school together,
Oh God.
the trouble that I would have been encouraged continue with, right? Because it's not like you will say, "Hey, you need to go do that." It's like I've already made the decision, and now you're like, "Go, go, you can do it."
But first academics, because I was the nerd, I was the honor student, I was the one like, oh, I'm gonna do my work first and I'm gonna beat you behind the school and then we gonna go do the
Right,
foolishness.
right, right,
But
right.
I was the one, like my friends were like, I'm gonna skip school. I said, well, let me go take my test first and then I'll meet
I'll
y'all.
meet you all over there. I'll meet y'all over there. I can
I
see
gotta do
the
my
both
schoolwork.
being that way though. We'll get the work done, and then where this gonna be. All right, what kind of foolishness can we get
We're
into?
done. We keep the main thing the main thing. And
Right.
I think that's important too when it comes from how to shift that mindset from surviving to thriving
Yeah.
is keep the main thing the main thing. My mentor used to always tell me that. And I think that falls back to what's important because it's easy in life to get distracted, to get, discouraged. But how do you get back up on that horse? Like, okay, I fell off. I took a detour real quick. And
Yeah.
that's okay too, people like soul shifters. We're human. Nobody's perfect. We don't wake up and get on this podcast and be like, oh my God, how can you be the best version of yourself today? 24/7.
Like we are so far from that. We are so
We're so far from that.
far from
We're
that.
so far from that. But give yourself grace. Get back up on that horse and ride into the sunset. Ride it. Ride it, ride that life horse to the sun fall out. Like, ride it. Oh my God, you're gonna be a cowboy pimp. Like, that's just and I'm gonna be a cowboy hoe. I'm so excited.
I don't even know what we're talking about now. They're like, what? What is what? See, oh,
This is the soul. Welcome to another episode of Soul Shift Shenanigans, where you don't know what kind of conversation we're gonna have.
we don't
We
even know
just
anymore, right? It's
we
the
don't even
it's
know.
supposed to be in the season too, so
Yeah, it's gonna start out real deep, real transformative, and then it's gonna go left.
cowboy pimps and hoes.
Cowboy pimps and hoes. That's what it is. So guys, we are going to speak and write to make millions in San Diego. And this is so special because this is where we met. This is the genesis.
Of where we
This is the
start.
beginning of Coach Sapphire and Coach Cal. And so we've decided because Lisa Nichols is amazing, amazing transformational speaker, author, just creme de la creme. If you want to surround yourself with excellence, okay, she is our mentor, she is our coach. And so we are going to celebrate and we're going to learn and we're going to learn how to grow and expand our speaking businesses in San Diego. But there's always a themed element, a part of her conferences. If you've never been, there's a theme. And so this year's theme is, I think, is glamour and cowboy. And I'm not sure how we got pimps and hoes from glamour, but this is what
I'm
we
not sh
decided.
how did we get there? Like,
We
what
got
was
some kind of
that
way. It was a text message
we
about
were talking about what we
something,
were gonna
and then
wear, and I don't
I
know
don't
what
even think it was what we were gonna wear. It was a conversation about something else, and then you sent me like a meme of a pimp, and then that then shifted into what we were wearing. I was like, "Oh, cowboy pimp," because I was like, "Okay, a pimp named Slipback," and then somehow that got into our wardrobe, and then in our Amazon cart, and now California.
I got a buckle that said "Cowgirl Up." You better go cowgirl up and make that money. Go. Where's my money? You better go cowgirl up and go get.
Yeah, so and again, the impetus, I have no idea, but that's it. It started with a conversation, a meme, and it just went
Just
left.
there.
Just yeah. And so that's what I was talking about, guys. If you wanted to know how we, yeah,
Please have some clarification now.
yeah, yeah. And if you're following us, we're definitely going to have some videos of the foolishness. So make sure you're following us to,
My
you
pink.
know, I got my pink cowboy boot. Yeah, I'm excited.
It's
I'm
gonna
leaving
be.
here with something.
I'm leaving here. It's gonna be epic. That's for sure. It's gonna be epic.
And then Be More Raw is going to be there.
Oh, does she know that she needs her? Does she? Is she gonna be
I don't even know because we didn't include. We need to put that in the group chat.
so you know?
Like, hey, do you want to be a hoe or a pimp? Which one?
Really want to be?
These are your only options.
I didn't even know that there was another slot for another pimp. I thought I'd be the only pimp in there. So
You're right. So she just you want to which you want to be, and I want to be the HBIC. So I want to be the bottom one. So I just so I had to ask her like where you want to be in that. Like you choose though. You free will choose.
you choose what you want.
Or maybe she can come, like she said, she got a nun outfit, right? Maybe she can come in that nun outfit to deliver us from our
For us,
foolishness.
from our own foolishness.
We gonna need that. We gonna need deliverance. So, all right, surviving to thriving. So,
We gonna
I
be
think that's a
thriving
good
today.
point. Yeah, I think it's a good point. Is like, don't take yourself too seriously, man. Like, enjoy life. Like, yesterday was in the past. Tomorrow doesn't even exist. All we have is the present. This
Right.
is a gift. How can we just enjoy it, love it, embrace it, all the flaws and all, just live it. All you have is right now is this moment. That's it. Yes.
Enjoying the moment requires choice,
Yeah.
and there too often we are presented with the choice of looking at everything that's not working right now, or the choice of looking at things that are working, and also the choice of looking at things that are hoped for.
Mhm.
And if I am deliberately choosing to look at what's hoped for, I saw this quote that said, "You're believing in it no matter what. You either fear is believing in something that's unknown, And faith is believing in something. You
You're
have your
believing it
choice.
either way.
You're
Yeah.
going to live it either way. So, and that quote is actually very helpful because I do find that there are times where I am looking at what's going on right now, what's not working right now, and
Mm.
then feeling the potential consequences from the things that are not working right. And it is literally a choice to say, you know what? If I focus on that, I'm probably going to get more of focus on what's not working. I want to try to get more of what's not working, as
Yeah.
opposed to focusing on what is working, what could work, and what I'm hoping for. And so that's what I try to do day in and day out is focus my thoughts on what is hoped for and what is working and what can be
Mm.
improved so that it's working better. Um, but it's a choice.
I
And too
love
many
that.
people we know are not choosing what's hoped for and what's working and what could work. They're focused on reality. And apparently, reality is everything that's not working. That's reality. When are you going to face
And
reality?
also, yeah. And another quote that I love is, "What you're not changing, you're choosing." It just falls
Yeah.
back to what you're saying. It's a choice. If you don't like the life that you're living right now, but you're also not choosing to do anything about it, you're choosing that for what you don't like. You still making a choice. You still have to accept accountability for those actions. You because a lot of people like to navigate in such a way as woe is me, and this is just the cards I've been dealt. This is just it's not fair, but the man, my mama, my daddy, my sister, my brother. It's so easy to put the blame on all these things and not take accountability for the fact that if you're continuing to live the life that you're living that you don't like, but not doing anything about it to live differently, you have made your choice. And that is on you. That is on you. How long you gonna live your life blaming other
Especially after
people?
you've been told about it. Like if once it's been identified and you understand what the words that are coming out my mouth, you are especially choosing now. So
Yeah. And
it's so easy to go into the way I feel right now. Like I know I should get up and go outside and go for a walk. Feel like it. But I this, but I feel that. But it's raining outside. But it's cold outside. But it's this.
it's hot outside. It's
It's
it's always
hot
gonna be an
outside.
excuse.
Right. It's like
It's always.
the circumstances are never in perfect alignment 100% of the time. They're probably never in alignment 3% of the time. So while you're waiting for for the feelings to be perfectly aligned with what your goal or your intention is, while you're waiting for those things to line up, day after day after day passes.
Yeah. And the key word you said there is alignment. Once you've identified the life that you want to live, and you've shift that mindset, and then you decide that I'm gonna create a plan of action based on what I want to see happen, based on what's important to me, then you align yourself with like-minded, like-driven, like energy people because, I feel like we're operating on a wavelength, and so when you're riding the wave of these things, of someone or entities or people, communities that is aligned or they are where you are or where you wanna be, are they on that journey? It's like you're being carried. Does it feel so heavy? Does it feel like you're all alone? Does it feel like you don't have help? It's like, wow, I can go along this journey and feel like I'm being carried along with people that get it. a big difference. Like you can go fast alone, but you can go much further together with other people. And so that alignment, we
And faster.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
go faster and further
yeah,
with other
and
people.
further. Yeah, yeah. But it's the alignment. Is you say, "Hey, I wanna get out of debt," but you're maybe hanging out with people that's always spending money, or you always doing things that doesn't align with the
Yeah.
very vision that you want, it's gonna be much difficult to make that happen. Or you're having you wanna become an entrepreneur, but you're around people that say, "Well, how you gonna make money?" They're negative. They don't necessarily encourage you or empower you to make a decision that's aligned with, entrepreneurship. Where are you aligning your time? What are you doing with your time? Are you reading books that is going to teach you how to be the best version of yourself or whatever that vision is you've created? What conversations are you having? Where are you spending your time? Doing a time audit. That's so very important. But that still all falls in line with alignment because that's going to make it where you can create, because we're talking about environments being conducive and maybe not less than 3% of the time being the perfect ideal, but create that conducive environment for you to thrive and grow.
I need better myself. You did spark a thought though in regards to going with people faster and further. There are these times where your plan is the only piece of navigation that you have.
Yeah.
Point. When I go riding and it's pitch black outside, I have the light. If I'm on a road where there are no street lights, I have to trust that this road is going to take me to the other end, and I'm trusting that there are no serious obstacles on that road. But my vision is limited, and so I have to just stay on the path and approach that path in such a way that I don't hurt. And it hasn't always worked out. It's worked out a lot. But there was a time where there was an obstacle in that path, and I didn't see it coming. And woo, that was painful. Like, flipping over, sliding on my head about 3, 4 feet down the road. Oh, it was
Jeez.
ugly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, my point is that we have this faith and this belief as far as the roadmap goes. And sometimes there are obstacles in there, sometimes there isn't. But when it's pitch black outside, sometimes your plan is all you have, and you just keep working the plan. As opposed to when I'm with other people, now I can trust because there are people in front of me. As long as they're okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right? If they see an obstacle, they may take the whole group around the obstacle. Safety in numbers. So,
Yeah.
having one thing I appreciate about you is that you have like a bunch of little communities for different needs that you have in your life. And
Yeah.
in the safety of others, or I'm sorry, in the amongst the others, their safety. And so, some of us don't necessarily have the networks like you have, but it starts with one, right?
Yeah.
Having that
Yeah.
one person that's in alignment with you.
And you know why I have those networks that I have? And there's nothing special about it, right? It falls in line with what we've talked about, like the mindset, right? And us starting to attract the very things that we want. And once I shift my mindset from scarcity to abundance, once I decided I was going to stop chasing money and start attracting it, I not only attract these materialistic things that I want and desire, I also attract people. I attract the people that are aligned with the vision I said I have and the plan I have for myself. It's like I pray to God. Like when I was living in Mexico and I decided to move back home after 13 years in Savannah, Georgia, I say, Lord, I pray that you put people in my life that are aligned with my vision, my mission, my purpose in life. And I'm not even kidding you. I've met so many amazing people. I met you. I met Tiffany. I met Be More Raw. Like I meet all these people. And I'm even talking about the host of people I even met. I met Dora, Kanetra. Like I'm meeting all these people right here in Savannah. And my journey from Mexico and making my way back. These are brand new people. These are not even old people that's been in my life. God has, and I do have people that have been in my life, but I am attracting the reality that I want by thinking it first, by believing it first, and then actually walking in that process. But also to your point where you're talking about having that plan is trusting the process, trusting that, I may fall. I may get lost. I may get distracted. I may get deterred. I may lose some friends along the way. And
I'm
that's okay too, because yeah, because that's a part of the process. That's a part of my learning. That's a part of my development. And that's okay too, because everything ain't gonna be butterflies and roses all the time.
yeah.
But I always believe in that, it's not a win-lose, it's a win-learn. So experience is what I get, even when I don't get what I want. So I just go into this thing with that mindset.
And we're still gonna approach it like there's always gonna be butterflies and sunshines and all that. We're still gonna approach it like it's those things, but we're just very aware that it's not always gonna be that.
And that's okay too. Sometimes you gotta get knocked down, especially if you're going the wrong way. Sometimes God gotta be
Yes.
like,
You're going wrong. Turn your butt around.
"It's
Oh,
gotta be
goodness.
gotta add some pressure, you know?
Oh, let me tell
Gotta
you, the pressure, that experience I had with the tire pressure was everything.
It was everything, yeah.
Because and again, like, even when I talked about on social media, what I did not talk about was having the right amount of pressure, like having too much or too little. Like, you have to have right there in a specific zone,
Yeah.
because if there's too little pressure, nothing's gonna happen, right? You're gonna be
Yes.
comfortable in which whatever you got going on, you're gonna be comfortable in that. And then when you get knocked off of that because life happened, you're left like looking like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then if there's too much pressure, well, we can crack under that pressure, right?
Yeah.
It can be too much. And then next thing you know, you are needing to see a therapist, probably need a therapist anyway. But now
Yeah. Feeling defeated.
you really need help now because there was way too much pressure on there. So being able to have at a certain, like, I'm checking my tire pressure every time I go out now, right? Like,
Yeah.
is it right? Is it slightly off? Because a slight tweak in pressure can make all the difference in your experience.
Yeah. And that's a
And we're
great
not,
metaphor for life.
not a major adjustment, just a slight adjustment in pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need to do that. We need to check in with ourselves. You may not have to do it daily, but have some time. And I daily, I'm working on me. Like I have a ritual that I do every morning, but you need to check that. You need to have a ritual, a regimen where you're checking, evaluating where you are and the path that you're on. Is there enough? Is there the right amount of pressure? Is there a right enough of alignment, development, growth, all the things to get you to where, and this is a it's something that you do daily. The Bible says you renew your mind on a daily basis. Daily, daily. Yes. So if we had to come up for a formula for that soul shift, shifting from, surviving to soul living.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, write this down. This is your formula for success. And how do you go from surviving to thriving? Right. And this is just a culmination of everything we talked about in this episode. And it is rewrite, which is your mindset, rewrite the narrative if it's not what you want it to be, plus reclaiming what is owed to you, what you deserve, what you desire in life, and believe in that, plus realignment, aligning yourself with people, things, and purpose that gets you to that destination of thriving. That is your formula for success. Rewrite, reclaim, realign equals thriving.
I love that. And you know
Yes,
what?
I
It,
love
it,
it.
it perfectly aligns with my quote for today,
Yes.
which is not necessary to meet your guru on the physical plane. The guru is not
The guru is you.
you, it's inside.
It's inside of you.
How often are we looking externally for the answers?
Yeah.
They're inside you. But if you're not communing with you, if you're not hanging out with you, if you're not turning down the noise
Yeah.
from the external world, how can you even talk to that guru inside of you?
Yes. Connect with the guru inside of you. I love that. Those are I love those final words for today's podcast. And of course, guys, like we always say, sharing is caring. If you know someone that can use a soul shift, you know someone that is ready to take that step from surviving to thriving, please share this episode with them. We are on a mission to getting 175 subscribers in the next month. So if you can follow us to help us reach our goals, we would greatly appreciate it. We are coming up to the end of season 2 of Soul Shift Sessions podcast, which is like unbelievable to me. It's something that and this is just perfectly aligned with what we were talking about. Is like it was a thought. It was a thought, and then it was attraction, and then it was meeting Coach Kyle, and then it was he's calling me, and then it was we're making it happen. And we've been making it happen along the way. We've been stumbling, we've been figuring
All of the
things out.
things.
Yeah, because people always ask, "Well, how do you guys do a podcast?" Listen, we just did it. What's it?
Right.
If it's something you want to
The
do,
caution,
just do it.
I'm sorry, not caution, the hesitation I had because you were supposed to be doing your podcast with someone else. And
Rest in
now
peace.
rest in peace. He's not even with us anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been, if you had started that show,
I don't even want to think about it.
if you had started that show, he would have passed
It would have passed
and
away.
you would have been like, I would have to be in your dark place with you. I
Yeah.
can't imagine,
That.
not imagine
Yeah.
losing you like that early.
That. Yeah. We ain't even gonna talk about that. Like, that's yeah. But everything, divine alignment, divine purpose, divine. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And yeah, we're on the journey together. Yeah, we're on the journey together. Yeah,
Sooner or
yeah.
later, you'll
So,
see us at a silent retreat game or hearing
yeah.
about how we got kicked out of the retreat. Or maybe we didn't get kicked out. Maybe we cut class.
Exactly. It went camping somewhere. I don't know. Like Jennifer told. Yeah.
They'll know because they'll hear us talking.
Is that Murray? What's the Murray? Where is it? I'll be like, that's him. That.
Meanwhile,
is
you over
him.
there doing a handstand when they find us.
Because you know I will.
You over there just into music and talking. Doing your own little rap concert.
We are going to make this happen. We are manifesting this. It's going to happen. It's going to happen one summer because the kids going to be out of school. Well, the kids almost grown, but
Right.
it's happening, guys. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And like we always say here on Soul Shift Sessions, always remember, never forget to let your soul glow. Until next time, guys.
Until next time, everyone.